So what is OOPS concepts? So OOPS basically, object-oriented programming concepts. Basically, it's a paradigm, or it's kind of approach, a methodology, how to use the objects, how to define the objects, and how to consume them effectively. So by using some instructions and guidelines you will follow and effectively use those concepts in the coding to optimize your coding skills and also to use these objects very effectively. That's what the OOPS concept means. So basically everything revolves around the object only. You know about object, right? So object is basically an instance of a class. That means you can create a n number of instances for one class. There is a class that is a template. So that template you will create based on the template. You will have many, objects. So you can create a number of objects for each class. Okay, so that's a object means. So object is kind of it is going to have states and behaviors. Each object has its own state and behavior. Okay, just give me 1 minute. I'll be back. So each object is going to have a state and behavior. What is a state? A state is basically how it looks like. So what properties it has. That's the state. Like name, height, color, whatever it is, it's kind of you are defining that object, right, with the different properties. That's a state. A behavior means what it is going to do. So that object, what is the main object, what it will do, that's the behavior. What is the behavior of that object? That is the behavior means. Basically, states you will define with non-static variables, and the behaviors will be written with a non-static methods. So that's the main concept of this object is, as I mentioned clearly, runtime objects, right? So you have in the class non-static members. Then if you create object, a memory will be created in the heap area. So that heap area, inside these objects will go and store these instance variables and instance methods. Those will be called with object reference. Only with object reference you can call them. If object is not there, so you cannot call them. There is a class. In the class you have non-static variables and non-static methods. If you want to call them anywhere in the same class or in another class or another package class, you must create an object for the class. That is class name, object reference equal to new class name, parenthesis, semicolon. So here I explained very clearly the entire part, but still I'll explain one more time. Okay. If you have any doubts, let me know. Here everything is clearly given. State tells that how the object looks, what properties it has. Behavior tells what the object does. So what it is going to do. That's the behavior and state means. And what are classes? So a classes is a template. Basically, a template, one template will be there. Based on that template, you can create a lot of objects. Like you see this diagram, there is a cookie, a template. With this template, you can create a lot of cookies. So that's these are all objects. These are all objects, but this is the class. A template is a class. Based on this template, you are creating many objects. So that means a class is a one template or blueprint that is used to create objects. If class is not there, no object exists. For every object, there must be a class. Okay, so that's the class and object means. And how can you define, okay, so how can you define these things in the software? So I already told your instance variables are used for defining the states, and instance methods are used for telling the behaviors. So cat, so how can you represent this cat in the software real world? You have two cats, suppose. You will create two classes? No, you should not do that. So cat is one generic term, a template. So there can be different cats, and each cat behavior you want to represent differently, you can do that with one class only. So that you can tell that how to do that. See, let's see here. If you see this is the one. Thor is the cat name. This is sleeping. That behavior is sleeping. And if you see this, Rambo, it's playing. So this behavior is a playing. So both are cat category only. You cannot create a Rambo class and a Thor class. Like how many classes you will create if there are multiple cat names, right? So only one class, that's a template cat class. For you want to represent different objects, you create object for that class. And you can represent a different objects. Each object will go and represent that cat. You can represent that properties also. What is that cat name? What is that cat is? What is the family of that? Everything you can represent. And all that data will go and store in that heap memory in that memory area only. Not in another Thor memory area. So this memory area in the heap area is different. This memory area in the heap is different. So when you call this object reference and you are giving the data, that data will go to a Rambo object. If you give Thor related data, it will go and store in the Thor object memory. So that's why you can uniquely represent each object with these instance methods and instance variables. That's a uniqueness will be there with instance methods and variables. And a common thing you want to represent, you have to use a static concept. I already explained in the variable time, so very clearly the differences also. So let's go and represent these two cats with a single cat class. How can we do that? So let's create a simply one class, cat class, and we'll represent a different cat properties. What are the cat properties we have? It has a name, age, color, breed, right? These are the four properties we have. These four properties are non-static variables we will declare. And we have again instance methods, sleep, play, feed. These are the three instance methods we can create. So which cat behavior you want to represent, you with that object reference, you call this non-static method. Okay, so that will help you. So let's go and create this. Where is our project? This is our project, right? So let's go and create a separate package. I'll create the package name. I'll give OOPS programs. OOPS programs. That class itself, I can give here package OOPS programs. Cat class. Take main method also, because there itself we can call all the instance variables and instance methods. I'll explain you the memory management, okay, how it is going to happen. That's very important. You need to understand that memory, how it is allocating the data and everything. Because I'm not going to assign the value here. I'm going to declare the variables. Declare instance variables to define the state of cat. So string name, int age, string color, string breed. Okay. Next. So you can create the methods. You can create the methods. So different methods you can create. So what are the different methods? It's just playing, right? So maybe sleeping, playing, all this you can create. Public, so void play. So generic methods you develop, okay? Say cat is playing. So you can create another method, protected, void sleep. Cat is sleeping. And feed. Okay, so that's the non-static methods and the non-static variables. So these are all instance methods. Represent behavior. Okay, so let's go now. So I want to represent this Thor cat, right? This cat. So let's say this cat. Okay, so let's go and create an object for the class. Create object for the Thor cat. So using new keyword. So new keyword is the main that is going to create. So let me write this syntax one more time for you. Okay, so that you can remember this. You should not forget this formula. So object reference equal to new class name. So if you are not aware of all the parts of this line, please let me know. I'll explain one more time. So again, you should not make a mistake. Okay. So are you all clear of every word in this line?
Yes, Ramesh.
Okay. So this is the data type. This is the variable name, reference variable. What do you call this? Reference variable. So this is, what is this? What do you call this?
Assign.
Assignment operator. Assignment operator. Let's say an assignment operator. And new is the operator. So that is the one mainly it is creating object. New is the operator or keyword which is creating object for the class. So this, what is this you call this? What do you call this?
Constructor.
Constructor, default constructor. So why default? In the parenthesis, if there is no parameters, that is called default constructor. We have two types of constructors. One is default constructor and parameterized constructor. So sometimes you will use parameterized constructor also in the object line. So based on the constructor you are calling, which constructor you are calling. Now here we are calling the default. Why? So this class doesn't have any constructor. by default, every class is going to have one default constructor, whether you create or not. There will be a constructor. And here, if you see now, this entire thing, what you call this entire thing? What you call that? Entire line, entire new class name parenthesis.
Object.
Object, right? You're right. Absolutely right. That's an object, right? It's an object. This entire part is called object. And only this one is the keyword which creates object. But this one is constructor, right? I have given again one more time. So this already explained very detailed, but I have given one more time. If anybody having doubt, let me know once again. Now, for obj equal to new cat. First object I created. So this object is the reference variable, and this has a one memory address, right? So it created a new cat means one object created. New object is created. New object is created. That object is having some integer number. That number you are storing in this variable. That means, so this reference variable is going to hold an integer number. That is called hash code. Hashing. So the memory address. What is there in this reference variable? The memory address. The integer number will be there. Okay. So that's the all these values. Now, I can see I didn't give any values, right? I need to represent all these things. Let's go and represent one by one. Third, obj dot name equal to, so I'm giving Thor. That's the name of that cat. So Thor obj dot is equal to 3. So Thor obj dot, so color equal to white. Thor obj dot breed, and can say, so what is the breed they have given? Let's see here. Okay, Russian blue. Okay, so Russian blue, the name they provided. Okay, just take this. Okay, now what it is doing, the Thor is doing, if you want to print, these values are stored in the memory. So in the memory, so this memory, these values are stored. Now you can call the, so sys out, for example, you want to print Thor cat name is. So if you want, you can just call, so this value, you need to call this object reference dot, the property, right? So the instance variable name. So any instance variable, if you want to call, you need to use that object reference dot property name, right? So this is color, and this is breed property. And I can say our cat is our cat color is our cat breed. Okay. So that's the, and you can ask, it's a sleeping, right? So tar we say dot sleep. So I can call that object related method. So basically what happens is in the memory, this memory, okay, so this memory, all these values, instance variable values, and all these methods will go and store there. If you want to call any of them, you need to store. You need to call with object reference. You need to call with object reference. So that is the this. Okay, so that's the, let's execute this. And it will be printed all these values. See, this is the one. Same, for example, you want to create one more object you want to represent, Rambo object, right? So Rambo cat, represent. So Rambo cat. So again, you create cat, Rambo, OB is equal to new cat. That is this. And so you can just, right? You can now represent one by one. Okay, so just again see same variable. That's what the advantage. If you don't assign, you can represent your independently based on the object. Now this is another new object, not this one. So not this object is different, this object. Every time new, that's an indication for you a new object is creating. Okay, so Rambo object dot name, if I do, and I'll get a new value into another memory with a name variable. Okay, so these are the values. And you want to call a method, you can call a method. So I'll just show you also in the diagrammatically how this is so represented in the memory. Okay, quickly we'll execute and I'll show you that. The diagram is very important so that you can understand it nicely. See, okay, the values I didn't print, right? Let me print. Rambo. Object reference only changes. So which object you are referring, that object will come into picture. So you should not use same object reference for other object also. So which object, this data will go store in this object memory. So let's execute this. See, these are all Rambo related data, and these are all tar related. How it is going to store? Okay, so let's see this. So let's draw a diagram. So quickly I'll show you that before we are closing. Okay. Not sure this is not enough here. Here. Let me open Notepad++. Okay, so let's jump on quickly. We have 5 minutes. So let's quickly do that. Okay. This is the one. This is the heap area, okay? This is the heap memory. So this is the stack memory. So when you create object, every time it will create a new memory. Yeah. So another memory. So in the heap, every time you create object, so this is the what is going to happen. New cat, if you do, it will occupy a memory for that. So another new cat, if you do, so another memory will be assigned to that. So this memory address is different, this memory address. Every time you call new, it's a new address. Easy to remember that. So you should not forget this. Every time new class name parenthesis you call, it's going to create a new memory. Now all this memory you have a name. So all right, is what are the data you stored there? Color, white, right? And then we have a breed, Russian blue. And you have a sleep method, feed method, sleep, feed, and play method. So what are the methods you have? All the things will come and store. Again, there, this is the Rambo related, right? So name equal to Rambo. Age equal to 4. Color equal to brown. Breed equal to mannequin. Right? Then again you have a sleep method, feed method, and a play method. So every object, same copy of instance variables and instance methods will be stored. But only what is changing from here to here? From this object to this object, what is changing?
Memory address.
Memory address is different. Okay. What is other thing? Values are changing. So that's the main concept. Values are changing, right? Values are changing. Now here, see, this is the main method. Okay, here is the main method. You are calling that, right? So in this main method, you have 1. So this is Thor object. So that's a local variable, right? That's a local variable, okay? Rambo OOPS. So this is the main method, basically. So every method has its own frame, right? So now here, so this is the one local variable. This is another local variable. So this is one frame, okay? Main method frame. So this value is stored in this local variable. This value is stored in this local variable. So anything from this object, if you want to call, you have to use this reference. Anything you want to refer from this object, you have to refer this object reference variable. So this is how memory will be created. See, if you want to get that, so are you clear on this? This diagram? Yes, any questions? Yes. Now this local variable will be cleared off every time main method is over, execution is over. This will be cleared off. Again, next time next time you are launching the execution, again, the object will create and the value will store in this reference variable. This memory address value will store in this reference variable. So any of these objects, if you want to call, this is the one object, this is one object, this is the one object, another object, object. All these small objects you can call with this object reference. You cannot call these things with this object reference. No, not possible, because this address you assign to this variable. This address, this memory, it has some integer number, right? Suppose this has some integer number, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, okay? And this has some address 789.453 something. Okay, this address is different, this address is different. These are not same. When you do Tor object equal to